Yo, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to The Drop, episode 2. I'm joined with my bud again, Jordan. What's happening, bud?
What's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm well. I'm hanging in there. Temperatures are finally getting super cold. Maybe they can blow some snow and we can have some more fake snow or something.
It's like 35 degrees. It's not that
I mean, well, it's been like in the 50s, so I don't know.
You're
It's
getting
just-
used to it. You're getting adjusted to the Minnesota
I mean, I
weather.
don't really think many places have gotten much snow this year, man. No joke.
No, it's pretty dry everywhere.
It's been pretty weak. Anyways, guys, welcome all of you to The Drop. We are excited to be here. Today we're going to be chatting about a couple different things, starting with what is the difference between snowboards? You know, there's obviously power boards, park boards, directional boards, true twins. I mean, God, there's even like crazy short, fat snowboards. There's really long, skinny snowboards. There's race boards.
Coffin-shaped snowboards.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different things. So we're gonna kind of break down all those for you guys. Really hit this one with a nice beginner topics. And then we're gonna work into something that I think is kind of a big deal, which is what makes you a snowboarder versus just somebody who snowboards. So you know what differentiates a person who really like lives, breathes snowboarding, and then just your average person who's, oh yeah, I've been snowboarding once or twice, you know? So I think there's a difference, you know?
Yeah, I think so too.
I think you gotta, in order to be a snowboarder, you really gotta live and breathe it. I think. Maybe not. We'll break it down. We'll go into a couple different ideas.
I got thoughts too.
But anyway, so starting it off, Jordan, besides the kinds of boards that I listed off, can you think of any different types?
Are we talking like twin tip, directional? Are we getting into
Let's see
stuff?
here.
What
I
are we doing?
listed. Okay, so let's just start from the beginning. You obviously have powder board, so that could be like your stance is usually pretty set back. Then you've got. Well, let's just list them all off first. Let's just straight list them off. You've got powder boards. You've got twin tip park boards. You've got reverse camber twin tip park boards. You have directional boards. You have all mountain like freestyle directional boards. You have short, fat, wide boards. You have long, skinny boards. You have race boards. You have boards that are made for hard boots. I mean,
Shaped boards, I think, is a new thing that's really taken over.
what would you consider a shaped board to be?
I don't know, like that coffin-shaped board or like a spring break snowboard. It's just a very unique shape.
Okay. Interesting. Well, let's start breaking them down. So, first of all, if you guys are looking into purchasing one of these different kinds of boards, you need to ask yourself, what is the kind of snowboarding that you want to do, right? So,
What are you going to be riding on?
Yeah, what are you going to be riding on? Where are you going to be riding at? And you want to kind of get a general idea about what kind of snowboard you want. So, if you're first starting off, I would probably recommend a softer, like twin tip type snowboard. What about you? What do you think?
I would agree. I think with that, especially too, you're starting out. What if you find out you're goofy footed when you thought you were regular?
Yeah.
You're on a twin tip. It's going to be a little bit easier to turn.
Yep. Definitely easier to turn, a little bit softer, a little bit more forgiving. I know that like a snowboard like a Battalion or a Lobster that has like the triple base. So triple base is a technology where the board has 3 different angles on the base of the snowboard. It gives you a little bit more. It relieves the chances of catching an edge probably quite a bit. Makes it a little bit easier to ride the board, and I would recommend that for like a really really beginner snowboard. Something to be a little safe around the edges.
Yeah.
But obviously that's like a true like twin tip snowboard. And then let's say that you have now found the kind of board that you want, and or the kind of snowboarding you want to do, and you're going to be just riding groomers, hard pack, nice long runs. You're not really hitting any rails, any jumps, things like that. What kind of snowboard would you?
Well, then you're going for a directional kind of board.
Like a directional, like all mountain board, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
so,
would probably
right?
recommend.
I've always been a twin tip guy, so I'm
yeah. Well, I mean,
thinking.
there's the fun thing about snowboards is there's kind of a board that is in between every other board, right? So you can get like a really soft, playful, park specific board, but you can also get a true twin all mountain board where you can ride switch, ride regular, but is also going to be a lot stiffer, a lot better for turning, a lot better for high speeds, a lot less chatter, and you'd be able to find something that kind of mends the two together, right?
Yeah, that makes
Or
sense.
if you like wanted to be a jumper.
Jumper.
And then let's say that you wanted to get, like, describe the perfect powder board to you.
I don't know if I'm the guy to ask, man. I'm like ride my twin tip, and I'm like, I guess I'll get a bigger one for the powder and maybe set it back an inch, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
I rode the stiff board and powder. It wasn't really for me, but everyone's different, you know?
everyone is different. Typically powder boards tend to be a little bit stiffer, but they also tend to be much more directional, much bigger nose than tail, definitely meant to be ridden one way. Mainly just so that your weight sinks down in the bottom and keeps your nose higher up in the snow and more afloat. And also a lot of them are built, especially like a regular camber true powder board is meant for, like, you're going to need to get going pretty fast in order to keep that board really floating. I mean, if you're going slow on pretty much any board, you're going to be struggling, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So you need
Speed
to
is your friend in the powder.
Yeah, for sure. But then you also have the powder board, which is like the short and fat board, like a spring break, like Slush Slasher or Death Label, the brand that I ride for, makes a board called the Bullet. And it is literally meant, it's like a coffin shaped board, but very, very directional, very huge nose, very little tail, better for slow speeds. And it just kind of washes around. You don't have to worry about getting stuck or stopping. And it's super wide and fat. Basically, you're just creating, instead of surface area on the snowboard being longer, you're making the surface area on the board be wider, right?
Yeah, I like that.
Everybody calls it like displacement. It's all about displacing the weight of your snowboard or the weight of your body in different parts of the snowboard. So as opposed to like a skinnier directional board, right? It's dispersing your weight with a longer nose and a much wider snowboard. So you almost have the same amount of surface area as you do a bigger board like a 158, but you could only be riding a 151, which is kind of sweet.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I'm riding the Twin Pig right now, and it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, it's like a short fat board, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so kind of a like same concept as far as displacing your weight across more surface area of the base.
Yeah, so you can ride like a 47 and maybe ride it in some powder.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
And then the other thing that's kind of cool is like there's also like super like park specific boards, right? Like you can get a board that's meant pretty much just for jumping. You're going to want like a regular camber, stiffer snowboard that has a lot of snap for spinning, poppier. And then you're going to ride something that's like my model board, for example, which is still a regular camber board, but it's really soft, built for essentially like pressing handrails, pressing boxes, and is kind of built to take a little bit more of a beating in the terrain park. And then, one of the other big things that we're kind of missing out on is the prices kind of reflect the kind of board you're getting too, right?
Yeah, I mean, your basic twin tip kind of almost entry-level board is going to be as low as like $350 probably.
Yeah.
Up to these, you can get $2,000 snowboards, right?
I mean, you can get like
$5,000
snowboards that
Seriously?
are like made by Dior or Prada or something. But
what was that board I just sent you the other day? Balenciaga?
Yeah. I mean, those are like $6,000.
I mean, if the Kardashians are riding it, must be good.
No, dude, the Kardashians are riding Russell's board. They just posted an Instagram.
Oh, really? The ride board?
That's for a topic for a different day. I've got a whole topic that's ready for that one. So we'll get into that one.
Props to Russell on that one.
Dude, speaking of which, that Supreme is about to release a snowboard. Russell had something to do with that one. I actually talked to Russell yesterday morning. We talked all about it. I was like, dude, this is tight, man. He's got his hands all over the place, man. It's awesome to see.
Yeah. Good dude.
So yeah, those are, again, guys, this is just a really basic rundown. We can go into more detailed videos later on if that's something you guys are interested in, discussing more kinds of boards. Obviously, if you can probably see between the two cameras, we have quite a bit up behind us. I've got boards that are shaped in all kinds of different directions and all kinds of different ways. So we can get into those kinds of topics later on the show, or we can even do like special videos later on down the line that kind of educate you on what board is for what and what sort of features a snowboard may have. That'll be the best for you. But that's not today's episode. And this one is how to become a snowboarder. And now that you know what kind of board you're going to be riding, all those things, there's a huge differentiation between I go snowboarding and I am a snowboarder. So what do you think, just off the top of your head, Jordan, what do you think would be the first thing that kind of differentiates the two?
Oh man, I don't know. We used to always joke that it was so cheesy to be like, I'm a snowboarder, dude. Like I'm a boarder, dude. So I don't know.
Just because you're a snowboarder doesn't mean, first of all, it doesn't mean that it has to be your whole identity. Like you can be somebody who snowboards and you can be a snowboarder, and you can also be somebody who is also a baseball player or a soccer player or none of that. You could be a carpenter and be a snowboarder. You know, I think that's one of the coolest things is that you don't have to just be a snowboarder. Snowboarder can just be another title that you
identify as, I guess, right?
I mean, yeah, not even identify as, but just like something that defines you, you know? Like, I wouldn't say that I'm only a snowboarder, but I am 100% a snowboarder, you know? Like, I have a lot more, I would like to think. Maybe I don't have too much more to myself besides just being a snowboarder, but most people do.
So then do we get into the stuff, though, where it's like, I'm a snowboarder, I'm a skater, or like, then the other person's just the P word, poser?
I mean, that's, dude, I think that there can be posers out there. I think that just because, I mean, it's tough, right? Like what identifies somebody as a poser? Is it the brands they wear? Because maybe they're just super into those brands. Like
I think simply back in the day, it was just like a poser is just somebody who doesn't even participate, right?
My definition of a poser would be like, say in high school, a kid is wearing a Forum t-shirt. And I know for a fact that that dude has never snowboarded before in his life, but he's only wearing a Forum t-shirt because he knows that's cool, you know?
Yeah.
And because the snowboarders wear it, you know, or rock Forum. I mean, the biggest poser brand would probably be in my high school is probably like Burton, just because it was like the most generic. Like everyone knows that Burton is a snowboard brand, right? So you would get people that definitely don't snowboard, even would be skiers, you know, and they'd rock like a Burton hoodie. And you're like, dude, you don't even snowboard. That to me would be a poser.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
But just because somebody wears maybe what other people consider goofy brands, whether it's this may be controversial right here, okay? I'm just gonna put it out there.
Oh, here we go.
But personally, I don't think brands like Rurock helmets or Dope outerwear or Montec or any of that stuff is cool. But just because you wear that stuff doesn't mean that you're not a snowboarder. You can still be a snowboarder and have super what I think to be goofy gear or funny stuff. Like that's fine. But you can still be a snowboarder. I mean, for God's sakes, I overheard somebody talk to you the other day at Highland Hills saying that you used to spray paint your boots pink. Is this true? First of all, is this true?
Pink Boot Posse, dude.
Okay. How many people do you think looked at the Pink Boot Posse and said, this is ridiculous?
Do you know how many people copied it? There was like a gold boot crew, a blue boot crew.
I had the pink lace crew, and I was in high school. Me and all my homies used to put pink laces in our boots.
Dude, Pink Boot Posse was
But I didn't know about your stuff.
You didn't know about that?
I didn't know. I didn't even know who you guys were. This is in like 2004.
Dude, like Mason Aguirre was in it, like Zach Marvin, Jonas. Dang. Jake Olsen-Elm wasn't in it, so he started a gold boot posse, and him and Jonas like got in a fight.
Well,
dude,
it was beefing.
It was pretty beefing back in the day.
Yeah,
I couldn't believe that guy remembered that.
So anyways,
so would they be?
My point being though is that there maybe have been stuff that you rocked or that you thought was cool that maybe other people didn't, but that didn't define you whether you were still a snowboarder or not, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't wear a lot of snowboard gear, and I snowboard. I guess I'm a snowboarder.
Yeah.
Right?
So my point being is that the gear you're wearing doesn't necessarily make you snowboarding, or doesn't necessarily make you a snowboarder. I think that's clear. You know?
That's what makes snowboarding pretty cool.
Yeah,
like individuality.
I agree. For me, I think it comes down to this: if you are a snowboarder, you are somebody that goes after it, right? And I don't mean like gets after it on the mountain, but I mean somebody who's like, you're looking forward to going snowboarding. You're excited about getting into the mountains. You're excited about, or getting out in the snow, I should say, going snowboarding. You go to sleep the night before anticipating the next day. You talk about the day after how great your day was snowboarding. You talk to your friends on the way up to the mountain, how excited you are to go snowboarding. You know, I think that being a snowboarder is a headspace that doesn't necessarily have to be there because you've watched all the videos. It doesn't have to be there because you've done all the best tricks. It doesn't have to be because you have the best gear. It's about, are you excited and are you ready to be a part of it? Well,
I think like my brother and I were just talking about this yesterday because I feel like my daughter just like caught the bug. I think that's what we call it.
Yeah.
Like, she just caught the bug of just like, Dad, I want to go snowboard after school. Like, we're getting in the car leaving. She's like, oh, I just want to like, could we just like go home for a little bit and go back? Like, I just want to keep doing this. It's so much fun. But, she's wearing like Target snow pants, right? So it's like, but I think I guess I have a snowboarder for a kid.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually funny that you mentioned that because I too have been bringing my kid out snowboarding.
Dude, he looks like a snowboarder in his sick gear.
Well, he will never wear a hat. He refuses to wear hats.
Just like me.
When he sees his snowboard and when he's getting ready to go and he's got his little onesie on and he knows we're at the mountain, he puts that hat on because he's excited because it's part of he's a snowboarder, he's excited to be doing it. And although he obviously doesn't understand the concept that we're talking about right now, as he's not even 2 yet, but he looks out there, he gets so jazzed up to go snowboarding and he's ready for it. If he could be telling us how excited he is to be going snowboarding, he would. And when we get on the mountain and he like is screaming the whole way down because he's so excited, like that's a snowboarder, like he doesn't like, we will have his snowboard like sitting down on the ground and he'll be like so jacked up just to like sit there, play with it, hang out with it. Like it's not just oh yeah, that's my snowboard and I go snowboarding, that is my snowboard. I want to play with it. I want to mess with it. I want to put stickers on it. I want to, obviously he doesn't really know how to do this yet, but he wants to mess with his buckles and he wants to play with the ratchets and he loves it. It's like something that he enjoys, and so I think going back to it, it's like, it's a feeling. Being a snowboarder is a feeling. It's not an identity. It's not a something. It's just a piece that maybe defines you or something that you define yourself with. And if you feel like you're a snowboarder, then you probably are right. You probably are a snowboarder,
Yeah. I mean, you kind of fall in love with it and that's it, right?
Yeah.
Either you do or you don't.
Yeah.
Just like anything.
Yeah, just like anything. And that doesn't mean that that's bad. It doesn't mean that you have to be a snowboarder. You can just be somebody who snowboards. That's fine. But yeah, I think one of the coolest things is being a snowboarder and being excited about it, going on to chat pages and talking about snowboarding, watching this show, watching us. Like, if you're watching this, you're probably a snowboarder, going down the rabbit hole on YouTube, looking for videos or looking for, snowboard instruction. I mean, there's 50 million different things out there for that. I would consider you a snowboarder if you're, if you are putting time back into snowboarding or honing your snowboarding, then you're a snowboarder. I don't know. Simple as that.
Yeah. I think you're right. You're right on that one. You caught the bug. If you caught the bug,
you can tell. I guess that's it, right? You can tell. If you've caught the bug, you've caught the bug, and
Yeah. I mean, I remember that was like that when we started snowboarding, like, just got the shit kicked out of us. You know what I mean? Like, went to Highland.
So sore.
Dude, wearing Jinkos, like, crusted down. Jonas cut his face open, like, fell off a chairlift. Like, it was chaotic. But at the end of it, we were just like, we were there from like 9 to 9 or 9 to 10 and just, oh, Dad, I want to come back and do this. Like, can we just how can I make this happen like
Yeah.
every day? Like I just want to do this, you know?
Yeah, man, it's pretty dope. I mean, I guess like you knew right then and there that it was something you were into. I mean, I knew as well, you know, when my family finally moved to Colorado where I first started, I knew like right away. I was like, "Oh yeah, this is
something.
what I want to do."
When I asked my kid, I was like, "What's so fun about it?" She's like, "You're just kind of free, man. Like you're just gliding." And I was like, "Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty cool just way to look at it. Like you're just gliding. You don't always get to glide through life, but when you're on a snowboard, you kind of
you are literally gliding. No, that's that's a really sick answer. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guess what, guys? It is time for us to wrap this thing up. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you guys are liking, subscribing, commenting. And leave in the comments like what do you guys think makes you a snowboarder? What other things are we missing that could help define what makes you a snowboarder? Also, again, we are on Spotify now, so make sure you check that out. All of our channels are The Drop Snowboarding. Pretty simple. That's us on YouTube. That's us on Instagram and on Spotify. So make sure you guys find us there. What's that?
Don't forget TikTok.
And on TikTok. That's right. We are on TikTok now.
Just got a TikTok.
We're covering all the bases. But yeah, Jordan, it's been real. Thanks so much for joining me today.
It's been real, fellow snowboarder.
Fellow boarder. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. We will catch you later. Adios.